109 days since the great catastrophe. The messenger speaks.
Wake up. Not from a dreamless sleep or an absence of light, but from a reality that will soon cease.
You can read it, yeah? I assume you can.
Wake up.
You'll notice I have waifu 2x
The next
bookmarked.
chapter is unstoppable. And yet, the greatest revolutions sometimes originate.
It's Odyssey is a $60 game. It's a new game, just $60.
Change your mind, subvert your perception, stop this world, bend it into something new. Destiny is not without irony. Here I am, imploring a lesser version of myself to do what I can never
Listen
do.
really closely here, Callum, to this one. It explicitly states she has the ability to change her own simulation.
Both of us from different eras meeting halfway at the narrowing of the hourglass in this ocean of sand. It is not enough to tell time. You must learn time. To work with your surely misses East light, and in so doing, escape the inescapable.
In fact, they tell her to.
Fill in the blanks, the ones hiding between words, between worlds. Find the spaces that we could not erase, the variables that ended up erasing us. If you do not, they will erase you as well.
No, no, no. That
Time told of a story
the
that
backwards
ended with us,
talking
and
is
now it tells of a story that ends
the
with you.
Isu speaking
Once upon a time,
about
new story
things
will
in a
begin.
way that humans were not programmed to understand.
After the
Yes, I'll buffer. Alright. YouTube, what are you doing? That's one of the issues that I'm talking about with websites, where it just stops. It just stops. Like, at some point, it just, like, I'm streaming. Clearly, I have the internet for this. Here.
we found solace in order. We thought it would help us rule the world. We were wrong. Order never served us. It has kept us within the code, within the boundaries. We were tricked into thinking we were the ones writing the rules, when they were in fact guiding us to our conclusion. You need to transgress. You of all people understand the value of disobeying. Take an unexpected turn away from the path that is drawn straight ahead of you. The Animus was humankind's first unconscious attempt to explain what it could not see. Understanding genetic memories, an eye into history. But the Animus bears a fatal flaw. It follows the rules from those who embrace order, just as we do. It allows you to witness, but not alter.
See? They explicitly state that she can change her simulations.
Your Animus is different, as is the mind that imagined it. It could escape the code. It could do that leap and make possible a decision that defies the order of things that are. Wake up. Be the chaos that comes to be. Gods are just like you and me. Remember, nothing is real. Everything is permitted.
Holy fuck, my... Oh, I just realized something! I just realized something! Nothing is real, everything is permitted cannot only be used to elaborate upon and explain the creed of assassins. But it also explains, once you understand the story, that, like, humanity was a creation. Humanity is artificial. The Isu created humanity, coded things in really weird, whatchamacallit, blah, 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 blah. So that humanity couldn't do or explain or understand specific things outside of the simple context of the Assassin's Creed, you can apply that to the Animus or to the way humanity views the world. Desmond had a ridiculously high amount of Isu DNA within him. He was one of the first humans to be able to step outside the bounds to understand. And when you consider what they're talking about regarding the Animus, that's insane. Outside of the context of the Creed, but within the context of the Isu and their creation of humanity, leaving out specific things, essentially creating a simulation that's meant to be ran in such a way that it could save itself from the horrors, from the chaos that the sun brings, that they knew and could see the future of. If a human has enough of an understanding or an ability to break through the lack of coding, much like a person exploring the Animus, if it was possible for an Isu to create a human bloodline, specifically, that could ignore the preconceived planning that's inside of the human's DNA structure. Hey, Panda, we're getting woke right now, my dude. We're getting real woke. Then nothing is true, everything is permitted, literally would apply to that human being. To be able to understand the creations of the Isu, the language of the Isu, the true form of language and explanations and reality and time, the Assassin's Creed could be applied externally from the Creed. And I think what this person is saying, because all of these transmissions are talking directly to Layla. We know that because they explain it properly. They're like, you and your Animus. And we're talking about Layla. She's stolen design. She has retrofitted things. She has created her own sort of algorithms and readers and whatnot, and edited her own Animus to what it is now. Layla has basically taken the first step into becoming a human being with the ability to transgress, to step over the line that humanity is initially met with due to their intentionally faulty coding by the Isu. Which, again, explains why you have choices in Odyssey. We're still using Layla's Animus, as far as I know. We're still playing as Layla, and her Animus can ignore history. Her Animus can ignore all of that. Because within the DNA of all of humanity, there are traces of Isu DNA. The Isu had the ability to see through time, and this is just everything I've said before, what I'm about to say now. Yeah, Panda. Layla is the girl in the cave. Her Animus has the ability to ignore history. And this arose when I brought up people complaining about the multiple choices in Odyssey. Even though in this game, in Origins, it is explicitly stated that she can ignore history with her Animus. She can transgress. She can be the chaos that brings change. her simulations do not have to follow the law of order of the land. And obviously the Animus technology can only evolve. Eventually, obviously, someone like Layla is going to get a hold of it, make modifications that can go deeper into understanding the DNA within a person. And like we know with Desmond, human beings exist that have Isu traces in their blood. And I would assume that coming into contact with pieces of Eden can change your DNA. Coming into contact with pieces of Eden, utilizing them, being within the radius, being close to them, has probably the potential to change your DNA, to restore these disconnected, incomplete code entries. Because humans are just programs in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Humans are not, they're simulations. They're literally you were created in God's image sort of situation. And I'm theorizing that Layla's Animus, she has created an Animus that can tap into that Isu DNA, that can show her simulations that didn't happen on her timeline. That can show her things that just didn't exist in her history books, because they have the power to read this first civilization DNA, which would be awesome. Ubisoft, let me write your story. Oh, it's so cool. That would explain a lot of things. Like, take for example how you can do things out of order in Assassin's Creed. Like, this is dumb. I'm about to go into like some game theory tier, like offshoot bullshit. Take into account how you can do things out of order in Assassin's Creed and you're not explicitly penalized for it. You're not explicitly told you can't do this. Like, you can do things above your level. You can do some things out of order in like the later games. You can do them in, whatever order you want later on in the story. We also know that you were using a more developed Animus as the story went on. You weren't using the same default creation. And then you get into how Desmond was filled with Isu DNA, and we kept witnessing his ancestors coming into direct contact with the Apple of Eden specifically, and things like that. And it makes you start to wonder once you think about it. Like I'm in love with sort of the whole concept of the Animus, the Isu, and it makes you kind of think maybe all of the Animus iterations up to Layla's custom Animus have sort of been sinking in. I wish, dude. I wish I could contribute to these games. Like, if you look at it as the games have become more open, you've been able to do more before you did less. You've been able to do more side quests, more missions, do things out of order in whatever order you want to, been able to go anywhere. It's like the Animuses have been upgrading slowly to the point where now they have the ability to dive into faint traces of the Isu DNA. And that was also an explicitly mentioned thing when Desmond was the subject. When Desmond was the subject, they kept bringing up, he has much more first civilization DNA than other people do. What exactly is the relevance of that? But then you think, like I mentioned, what if the reason they want someone that has a lot of first civilization DNA is because a person isn't born or created with with the Isu DNA in them? What if he has so much of it because his ancestors have been in contact with the pieces? Their animuses didn't have the ability to tap into the powers or the abilities to hear the true explanations of things. So the only other explanation would be that a person in modern times having a lot of Isu DNA or a lot of Isu traces is that that person has been connected with pieces of Eden, and that's why they go after him, because that person's ancestry has potentially and exponentially been building up this sort of like DNA strands that have built up over time and over time, and now they have the technology to trace that back, which makes a ton of sense and explains that plot hole completely. Because that was always a weird thing. It's like, oh, he has a lot of Isu DNA. So that doesn't help anything. It doesn't mean it'll help you find the pieces of Eden faster, unless it means that the person is directly connected to the pieces of Eden. Y'all like that plot hole recovery, my dude?